There are two reasons why you might want to use an expert. One is the obvious reason, you want their advice and their statements, you want to rely on them. But the other reason, usually from the client's point of view, is to appoint someone who will support their own view, to back up their own view. I've come across that a few times, and once I actually was an expert. I was acting for an English insurance company who was selling a life fund to another insurance company. And I didn't know anything about insurance or anything like that, but I was just making sure the deal happened. But there was a problem, because the buyers said there was a £10 million hole in the life fund. Their actuary had said there was a £10 million hole in the life fund, and therefore there was an impasse, because my clients didn't agree. And their actuary said this, and their actuary said that, and so on, and it wasn't getting anywhere. And I was at one of the meetings where these complicated mathematical things were discussed. The following day, my client telephoned me and said, look, we're going to have a special meeting just on this subject with the actuary on the other side, and we'd like you to negotiate on our behalf to illustrate that they're wrong. And I paused. I said, look, no, I can't possibly do that. I know nothing about being an actuary. I'm the wrong person to ask to do that. And my client said, no. If you don't mind me saying so, he said, the reason why I'd like you to do it is because you know absolutely nothing. And that's a great advantage to know absolutely nothing on this particular type of negotiation. And also you can negotiate reasonably aggressively, and that's what we want. I said, but I still don't know anything about being an actuary. He said, don't worry, we've got that fixed. We want you to come round to our offices and we'll spend 1 hour teaching you how to be an actuary. I said, all right. I said, I'll go along with this. A couple of days later, we had this meeting where it was their actuary and a few other people and myself and our clients and so on, just to talk about this particular point. And their actuary, who actually was a person who, how can I say this, he wasn't very good after lunch. He tended to drink quite a lot, and therefore the meeting had been scheduled by my clients at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which was quite a good negotiating point. Anyway, the meeting started off, and their actuary, ingratiatingly, because obviously I wasn't an actuary, began to explain to me exactly how he calculated this and that and these various things, and I listened very intently. He was leaning back in his chair in a fairly confident sort of way. And I listened very carefully, but I did pick up one thing, which I thought was odd. I picked up he was valuing the assets at one discount rate, one interest rate, and he was valuing the liabilities at another discount rate. I don't know why he was doing that. But when he'd finished, I said, well, that's very interesting, but I think it's very peculiar. You should be valuing the assets at one rate and the liabilities with another rate. And I think that's not a very sensible thing to do. Then he sort of fell into the trap. He leant back in his chair and he said, Mr. Baden-Powell, he said, I've been an actuary for 35 years, and I can tell you, I don't need to go into any more detail, I can tell you this is how we value life funds. And I leant forward and I said, Mr. So-and-so, I've been a stockbroker for 25 years, and I think that's a remarkably stupid way of valuing. If I valued my clients' funds and my clients' investments on that basis, I deserve to get the sack. It's ridiculous way to value a life fund. I had no idea what I was talking about, but that doesn't matter. You're negotiating. He went apoplectic. He was absolutely furious, because people don't normally call other professionals stupid in front of other professionals. He was very, very annoyed. I wouldn't say he began to rant, but he really lost the plot. And his own clients were rather embarrassed, and they drew the meeting quickly to an end. And the following morning, my client rang me and said, negotiations entirely successful. The other side were so annoyed with their actuary for behaving so badly that they've taken him off the case, and they say they're not going to consider the £10 million hole any longer. It's obviously a matter of opinion, and they're going to let it go. Now, both insurance companies were quite large, so in fact very large, so it didn't really matter. But it's just an interesting way to use an expert. You either use them for their own opinions, or you use them to support your opinion.